Hey gang, it's Rob, and in this video, we're going to go over the 1002 Core 1 A+. So if you don't know, the A+ is a two-part exam. So today we're going to be going over the second part. Let's go ahead and get into it. The 1002 covers different topics than the 1001, right? You need a 700 to pass the 1002. So we want to make sure that you guys are successful. So let's not waste no more time. Let's get straight into it. All right, gang. So if you never did this before with me, what we do is we go through the questions as a family. We look at the answers. I'll tell you what the answer is and why that answer is the answer. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight to it. Romeo currently works at Mighty Mufflers in Las Vegas. He wants to make it very difficult to gain access to the manager's office for intruders. Which would be most effective? When you're actually in the box, or if you're taking the exam at home, make sure that you pay attention to things like that. What's the most likely? What's least likely? What's the best thing? Least best? Not least best, but what's the worst thing to do? What's the most expensive? What's the least expensive? So hopefully you guys said a biometric lock. Bam. Very good. So cable locks are a form of logical security. Is that true or is that false? Is that true or is that false? So on the actual exam, there is no true or false, but just for testing purposes, we'll go ahead and see how you guys do on this. So you should have said false, right? So a cable lock would be a form of physical security, while a firewall would be a form of logical security. All right, so here's a scenario-based question. Let's see what it says. Hijink 1781 is a prolific hacker who's brought down major corporations. His newest target is Google. He sends an email to hundreds of employees titled Employee Satisfaction Survey. Body of the email asks probing questions about the employee and guarantees 1 full day off if the survey is completed immediately. This would best be described as what? Now, if you do get an email from somebody, right, that you never heard of, a lot of times that's one of the clear indications that something is wrong. As you can see, that's supposed to say employee satisfaction survey, but it's not spelled right. A lot of times these emails are typed really fast and they have misspellings. So what do we think the answer is? Do we think it's social engineering, rootkit, pre-attack, Trojan horse, all of the above? So I'm going to say this is one of those where it can either be one or two answers. I would either say social engineering or a Trojan horse. So we know a Trojan horse is something that we think is good, but ends up being bad. But I'm going to say social engineering. If it isn't social engineering, it may be Trojan horse. Let's see. Bam. Social engineering. Good, good. If you haven't done so, make sure that you like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Giving full control to users makes a system administrator's job easier and inherently more secure. Is it true or is that false? Since you guys are super smart, you already know that would be false. That's going to make your job, it's going to make it easier, but it's going to make it 10 times harder because people are going to be able to delete every damn thing that's on the server, everything that's on people's hard drives. So you never want to give everybody full control. All right, Jake runs a small IT firm. He wants to minimize the amount of devices purchased for employees. Of the following, which would suit his needs best? So this is I want to say this is the first question that we ran across that has acronyms. So acronyms is something that you have to be familiar with, something that you have to be cool with. Actually, let me expand this a little bit more. I think that might be a better view for you guys. So it would be BYOD, which stands for bring your own device, which means that they could bring their devices from the house and use them on the network. All right, Karen notices that her Windows 7 machine has slowed down. Seems every time she tries to open anything, it takes double the amount of time it used to. What can Karen do to remedy the situation? So over time, after you open stuff over and over and over again, it can actually get fragmented over time. And the more fragmented it gets, the longer it's going to take for it to open. So a way that she can actually remedy her issue is to defragment her hard drive. All right, Jim gets a notification that updates will be installed on the next startup. If Jim wants the updates to be installed as soon as possible, he should what? This is real easy. Reboot. Just restart the computer and the patches should install. All right, Lenny has intermittent connectivity on his work laptop. A push notification states he and another machine have duplicate IPs. What most likely has happened? What most likely has happened? Like I said, remember to always pay attention to that. Remember to always make sure that you pay attention to that. So it's probably an IP address conflict. You cannot have the same IP address on two different devices. Samantha wants to reduce the time it takes for her profile to load. Samantha is using a Windows 8 machine with 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. What's the first thing Samantha should do? Choose two. Now, on the actual exam, you actually see that a lot of times the questions has a lot of information that you do not need. Just decipher the stuff that you do need, and then go ahead and go. So all it says, all you need to know out of this is reduce the time it takes for a profile to load. So if she disables startup applications and disable unused services, it should speed up the time it takes for her profile to load. Janice has a CD with Windows 7 OS that she wants to install on her XP machine. How can she boot from the CD upon startup? How can she do that? Hopefully you guys figured boot order. By default, it's going to boot from the hard drive, but if you want to boot from anything else, you have to change the boot order. All right, Karen notices that her Windows 7 machine, my bad, that's just an alarm. It tells me it's time to record, but I'm already on top of it because I'm a machine. All right. This thing. Karen, did we already talk about this? Yeah, change the boot order. What? Oh, shit, I'm sorry. See when you get distracted? Very good. That's good that I got distracted. I actually just gave you guys this answer. It is defragment the hard drive. So make sure when you're studying that you don't have distractions, because if you do, you're bound to mess up. All right, so next question. Jim gets a notification that updates will be installed on his next startup. We already did this one. Let me read it. Let me slow down. Jim gets a notification that updates will be installed on the next startup. If Jim wants the updates to be installed on the next restart, he should do what? Very good. Reboot. Power down. Oh, okay, on the next restart. See me? I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. The next restart. So we would power it down, and then when I restart it, he would do it. Okay, that makes sense. So you see, and the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure you've been with me on a bunch of these damn things, but I actually created these questions and answers myself. But even me, I created this shit, and I still, if I'm not paying attention, if my mind isn't 100% focused on this, that's what happens. All right, so Jerry has intermittent connectivity on his work laptop. A notification states he and another machine have duplicate IPs. What most likely has happened? Now, this one is this. This is the answer. I was about to quit because we already saw that one. We double dipped on that one. So Carl updates the drivers for his mouse, restarts his machine, then goes to the store. Once he comes back home, he hops onto his machine. The mouse seems to jump around the screen and disappear at times. What's the first thing Carl should do. So the first thing he should probably try is roll back the drivers. So that basically means that the drivers that he has may not be compatible with the mouse or the machine that he's using. So he rolls back to the drivers that worked previously. So rolling back the drivers just means that let me use the drivers that I was using before that worked before I upgraded. All right, Janice has a CD with a Windows with a Windows 7 OS that she wants to install on her XP machine. How can she boot from this CD upon startup? If you get this wrong, something's wrong with you. We double dipped on this one too. Update boot order. Just remember, the boot order is where the machine actually looks for the operating system. Larry can barely see the text on his smartphone screen. He needs to send a very important email in the next 10 minutes. What should he do first? What's the first thing he should do? So just remember, gang, on the actual exam, it's going to say what's the first thing you should do, last thing you should do, best thing you should do, so on and so forth. I would say the first thing I would do would be to try and turn up the brightness. Let's see if that works. Then we will go ahead and go down the troubleshooting steps and try other things. But you don't want to do the most difficult, complex thing first. Try and see if turning up the brightness fixes the issue. So, gang, so we a couple questions in. If you're looking for training, we literally have students passing this exam, A+, almost every day in the 0 to IT Hero bundle. It's rolling right now. The description is below. It's self-paced training. It has accountability coaches, mentorship, and the actual vouchers to take A+, Net+, Security+, and ITF+. So those three certifications, A+, Net+, and Security+, are going to give you a strong foundation, allow you to break into IT and make a salary that's a lot higher than the average person. So that salary depends on you, but you're going to be making more eventually than you're probably making right now. So the good thing about IT, you kind of write your own check, and the earning potential is limitless. That's all up to you. But I know for my students and even for myself, having these pieces of paper has made the journey a whole hell of a lot easier to get to six figures. So let's go to the next one. Or are we on this? I think we're on this one. Suzanne is visiting Seattle for a real estate conference. The conference has brought people from around the world. She tries to connect to the Wi-Fi, but gets connected seconds after connecting. Of the following, what most likely is happening? So another thing, when you in the actual exam, make sure that you have tunnel vision. Make sure that you only look from the options available. What makes the most sense from the options that they give you? It could be a multitude of stuff, all kind of stuff, but what makes the most sense from the options that they give you? What most likely is happening is that this conference that she at, everybody is trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, and access points have a limit of how many people can actually connect to it. So it's probably device saturation, which means that there's way too many damn people connected to it. So somebody else will drop off and then she'll be able to connect for a couple minutes, then she'll drop off and somebody else will be able to connect. Makes sense. So if the access points reaches a limit, everybody's going to have connectivity issues. Okay, Lynn is waiting at a bus stop in Chicago. He wants to buy a few last-minute Christmas gifts. He proceeds to take out his phone. He tries to use the touchscreen, but it is unresponsive. What most likely is the issue? So there's a couple key clues to this. One, it's Christmas time. Two, he's in Chicago. What does that mean? It's probably cold as hell outside. So he's probably wearing insulated gloves, which will not respond to his touches on his cell phone. All right, gang, we are 15 minutes in almost, and we have to pay some bills. So here is a word from our sponsors. To land an IT role, most likely you have to have some type of education. That education can come from degrees or even certifications. Speaking of certifications, over at itmagicKey.com, our Zero to Hero bundle is still enrolling, helping people get 7 certifications. 3 of the certifications being some of the most popular certifications in the industry. So if you're looking for some training online, got vouchers, hundreds of damn testimonials, helped out a bunch of people, head over to itmagicKey.com. All right, gang. So let's get right back into it. Ronnie wakes up for work at 6 a.m. He takes his fully charged phone off the charger and is out the door by 7:30. He arrives at work at 9 and notices his phone only has a 15% charge. What should Ronnie try to fix the issue? All right, so from the answers that are here, what makes the most sense? From the answers that are here, what makes the most sense? Now, some of the questions that you get may not be for the most modern devices, okay? So if you get a question like this, just think back to when cell phones actually had replaceable batteries, and I think that would be the easiest thing, to try to replace the battery. Although most phones now don't have batteries. All right, Jimmy has a 40-year-old cell phone that he uses regularly. He notices that a brand new game just hit the App Store. He decides to download the game because the graphics look amazing. Once he begins playing the game, his phone cuts off. He also notices that his phone is extremely hot. What is most likely happening? All right, so most likely he got, a pretty old phone, and that game was just too much for the phone, and the CPU overheated, and as a safety measure, it shut off the phone before the damn phone blew up. All right, so a knowledge base usually contains common fixes, common protocols, and emerging technologies. Is that true or false? Great, too easy. It's true. All right, Ronnie is a new employee at Bubble Inc. During his orientation, he was given a huge packet of paperwork to be filled out. He finishes the packet by signing the very last piece of paperwork. It seems to detail what is allowed in an organization and what is not. This most likely was which of the following? All right. I'm going to say that it's most likely AUP, acceptable use policy. So that's pretty much outlines this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. And if you fall out of those parameters, they kind of have justification to fire you or give legal action because you read it and you signed it. Okay. By most standards, CAT 123 is considered a strong password. By most standards, is that considered a strong password? I'm going to have to say false. So a strong password, this has a lot of the attributes of a strong password, but usually a strong password has 8 characters. That's pretty much the only thing that's missing. So it got uppercase, it got lowercase, it got numbers, and it got special characters, but usually a strong password is at least 8 characters. That's the only thing it's missing. Leslie is a project manager for a local startup. She has determined the production costs, man hours, and timeline for updating the company's portal. What step has Leslie completed in the change management process? I'm going to say she determined the scope of the change. Leslie is a project manager for a local startup. She has determined the production costs, man hours, and timeline for updating the company's portal. What step has Leslie completed? It's either determine the scope of the change. No. She already knows the scope if she determined. I'm going to say she created a plan. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Damn, I was right the first time. All right, so I was going through this together as a family. There's a reason when you're taking this exam why certain stuff is jumping out at you. So determine the scope of the change was jumping out at me because that was a damn thing. So she just determined the scope of the change, and then after that, she would actually create a plan. Okay. And change management is literally just managing changes. So if you got to upgrade stuff or downgrade stuff or create a team, so on and so forth. All right. So risks associated with not implementing a change are not a part of change management. Is that true or false? I'm going to say that's true, because that should be a part of, hold on, risk associated with not implementing a change. I'm going to say that's false. All right, yeah. So sometimes it can be tricky, because you got to figure out the risks involved. Because a lot of times if you're on a team, it may be somebody higher up, usually the person that has to spend money and come up with the budget. You have to say, hey, man, if we don't implement this change, this is the risk involved, and this is what can happen. Turn off power and remove jewelry when working on internal components. Is that a true statement, or is that a false statement? That is a true statement. You gotta remove that stuff, because all that stuff can actually cause different components to short out. Excuse me. Never use water-tight fire extinguishers when trying to put out an electrical fire. You guys are super smart here to know that that is true. The SD and MSDS stands for. So like I said, there are some acronyms. You got to make sure that you know what acronyms stand for and what they do. So it stands for safety data. So MSDS is material safety data sheet. Safety data. Humidity directly affects the amount of static electricity present. Is that true or is that false? And we already know static electricity is the enemy of IT components or tech components. So is that true or false? That is true. You want to make sure you control the humidity. Gene works at Popstar Games in California. The lights begin to flicker, then completely go out. He wants to ensure none of the gaming projects the team has been working on are lost. What should Popstar have in place for backup power to critical devices? What do we think? So the right answer is UPS, right? That is the right answer. But I would say none of these, because none of those are actually types of UPSs. And a UPS is an uninterruptible power supply, somewhat of a power backup. So if you lose direct power, you can use the juice from the UPS. So just make sure that when you're in the box that you don't jump too fast, because you might have just saw UPS and just clicked it, but none of those are actually versions of UPSs. Boot MGR is missing, appears. You inserted a Windows 7 installation DVD into the DVD-ROM. You want to ensure you don't rewrite the information on the local user profiles. Which of the following would allow you to do this? So this list of stuff is commands, and I'm going to say it's boot rec fix MBR. I think that's what will make the most sense. Let's see. Okay, so fix boot. Okay, so as I said, I made this stuff, but still I made it in a way to make it tricky, and it's shit working real good because it's tricking me. But after I get it, it makes sense to me. So fix boot is going to fix the actual booting process, right? Fix MBR is going to fix the master boot record. All right, so fix boot is going to fix the actual booting process, but fix MBR is going to actually go inside of the master boot record, see if anything is corrupted, and if it is, try and replace it. Okay. How long have we been doing this? I'm having so much fun with you guys. I might just, this stream might be 6, 7, 8 hours long. Probably got about 5 more minutes, and I'm tapping out. Warzone, or at Warzone 1987, is a world-renowned hacker. While on a live stream, he tricks a user into allowing them access to their PC because of fake malware alerts that were being broadcasted to their machine. What would this most likely be classified as? So I'm looking at this, And I'm going to say a Trojan or a phishing attack. Let me see. Would it be a Trojan or a phishing attack? I'm going to go with Trojan, but if it's not Trojan, it may be a phishing attack. And if it's a phishing attack, I'll tell you why. All right, so a phishing attack is an attack that is focused directly at somebody, right? And it kind of uses social engineering. So this was a little bit of social engineering and a little bit of malicious intent, right? So the phishing was, he knew who the guy was. He sent him a fake malware alert. Once he clicked the fake malware alert, everything went bad. All right. So whether he just wanted to cheat and look at their screen while they were playing so he would know where they were at, or if he wanted to get into their account information, so on and so forth. Hey, gang, give me 1 second. Hello? I'm working, man. Everything good? I'll call you right back. I'll be done in like 2 minutes. Bye. So I got a 3-call rule with my wife. She called me 3 times and shit, I answered the phone. So, but as always, she didn't want shit. But I love her to death. All right, so all right, we did this one. Let's go to the next one. Which of the following updates should be performed on a regular basis to ensure the OS has the latest security patches? Which of the following updates should be performed on a regular basis to ensure the OS has the latest security patches? I'm going to say all of this stuff, man. All of this stuff will make sense to update all of this stuff just to make sure it's good to go. All right, so I'm on a roll. Finally got one right again. All right, LIN is a network. On the actual exam, for the second part, you got to get around like 77 or 78% of the questions correct to actually pass the exam, okay? And usually you'll have a maximum of 90 questions on the exam. All right, so LIN is a network administrator. You try to install programs on a local machine. You receive an access denied message. What most likely is the issue? So this question, I think you are LIN. I think you are LIN on with this question. I'm going to say most likely, most likely your username isn't part of the local administrator group. See if I'm right. Hallelujah. All right, what option would you use to install an OS onto a device that's not physically in your possession? Which one of those would you use to install an operating system onto a device that's not physically in your possession? Right, remote install. Good, good. All right, you just verified full system functionality. What is the next step? So you have to know the CompTIA troubleshooting step. It's 7 steps. Every scenario, every question is going to be centered around the troubleshooting steps. You actually going through the troubleshooting steps and figuring out what a solution is. So you have to know the troubleshooting steps and what step is after verifying full system functionality. Perfect. You got to document findings, actions, and outcomes. So if you come across it again or somebody else comes across it, they'll be able to knock it out pretty fast. A Windows workstation is suspected of having malicious software that created an infected startups item or service. How can you test this? Which one of the following would be the easiest way to test that? I would say, msconfig. That would make the most sense to me. Very good. So msconfig has the startup items. You can stop items. You can delete items, so on and so forth. So what would make most sense to me is to use msconfig and then go to the startup items and see what's going on. Great News Corp is concerned about people tailgating. What can stop people from piggybacking? So tailgating, real simple. let's say that I have a badge, right? And that badge has an RFID tag. All I gotta do is swipe it and it opens up the door. And somebody's running, into the building like, hey, hold the door for me. And they come in the door with me. That would be considered tailgating or piggybacking, pretty much piggybacking off my credentials to gain access to a building or structure or a device. So the easiest way to do that would be man traps, which means that I'll have to authenticate. The door closes behind me, authenticate again, and then I go through another door, right? So it's pretty much a door, a space, then another door. You shouldn't be able to piggyback off of somebody else's credentials. All right, gang, we're 30 minutes in, which means that we have to hear from our sponsors. To land an IT role, most likely you have to have some type of education. That education can come from degrees or even certifications. Speaking of certifications, over at itmagicKey.com, our Zero to Hero bundle is still enrolling, helping people get 7 certifications, 3 of the certifications being some of the most popular certifications in the industry. So if you're looking for some training online, got vouchers, hundreds of damn testimonials, helped out a bunch of people, head over to itmagicKey.com. All right, gang. So we're 30 minutes in. If you haven't done so yet, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. So hopefully by the time this video drops, we're already over 15K subs. But if we aren't over 15K subs, make sure that you sub and that you share this shit with somebody so they subscribe. All right, so the type of security threat that uses computers or other networks to accept and pass on viruses is called what? Super, super simple. A botnet. All right, so we're 30 minutes in, right? And as you can see, there's a lot of different areas on the actual exam. When you take the exam, it's not going to be set up to where it's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not going to be set up to where everything is in order. So you're not going to have 10 questions about software, then 10 questions about security, and then 10 questions about networking. It's going to be a little bit of everything. Every couple questions, the actual topic probably will change. So the test is adaptive, right? Meaning that, hey, it can kind of tell, oh, he's pretty good at this shit, or she's pretty good at this stuff. And then it'll switch to something else to see, okay, let me see if they're good at that. Then if you knock out 9 or 10 questions on that, they'll switch to something else, right? So it kind of tries to figure out your weaknesses and kind of try and give you those questions that you're weak at, right? But good news is, my students are pretty much well-versed on the whole shebang bang, because even though it's a lot of different topics, it's only 90 questions, right? So you'll be good. You are running a virtual client, but you don't have any network connectivity. You try accessing several browsers, but none are pulling up. The host workstation is able to access the network. What? Hold on. Or what should you check to fix the issue? Let's go back one more time. You're running a virtual client, but you don't have any network connectivity. You try accessing several browsers, but none are pulling up. The host workstation is able to access the network. What should you check to fix the issue? Let's see. Okay, so you got virtual machines on a computer, right? So the host can connect to the network. Your virtual machines on that host cannot connect to the network. I would say that the virtual host network adapter is messed up. It's not connected. Let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. All right. Tammy is experiencing a software application error. She reaches out to the help desk for support. She hopes the help desk can fix her issue without her having to take it directly to them. How can this be accomplished? You can do that through I'm gonna say remote assistance, because she needs assistance, so she wouldn't have to use remote desktop. So gang, let's take a motivation break. If you've seen me before, you already know that I'm not really big on excuses at all. And today I told myself, hey, I'm going to record a Core 2 practice test for you guys. I did not want to record this at all. I did not feel like it. I had 4 coaching calls earlier, and when I get done with this, I'm going to have another coaching call. And tomorrow is Saturday. I don't know when I'm going to drop this video, but tomorrow is Saturday, and I have some stuff to do tomorrow. But I'll tell you this, man. If you train yourself to do stuff when you don't want to do it, you're going to become a beast. It's going to be impossible for you to be unsuccessful. Because if I can do something when I absolutely don't want to do it, when I do want to do it, it makes it like a breeze. I'm on autopilot, right? So anyway, long story short, if you don't feel like studying, study. If you don't feel like getting certifications, get certified anyway. Because the reason I'm working so hard is because I got goals, I got aspirations, and I hope you guys have the same thing. And the journey may suck. It may be times you want to quit. It may be times you want to give up. Because I really need y'all to feel me. Let me full screen. Boom, I'm back. So I was saying sometimes you may want to give up. Sometimes you may want to tap out. But as far as me, right, I have a lot of people depending on me. I have a lot of people that look up to me. And since I have, a little bit of visibility on YouTube, Instagram, it's a lot of people that are listening on me. Tap out, I kind of will feel, I ain't gonna say I will feel responsible, but it may be a reason or give them an excuse to tap out. And I don't want them to have any kind of excuse to tap out. I want to win, and I want you guys to win. So just in case I do fall off, I can come get a job from y'all. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to this. And another thing, I want to show you guys these. A lot of, I have some like high quality videos, editing and graphics and all kinds of explosions and all kind of shit. But these videos lately, I've been making them a little bit more real and honest. You're going to have distractions. My wife called me up. Somebody knock at the door. I get hungry. Like this things happens, life happens, right? And then another thing, I'm not at home. I'm on the road, but I'm not using that as an excuse. You guys got to win. All right. You got to win. You don't have any other option but to win. All right. So Marcus would like for emails from his new web account to only be stored on his tablet. Which of the following email server types would the technician use to accomplish this? What do we think? So I'm going to say, I need to reread the question because I forgot what it said, but I'm just going to say Imap. Let's see what happens. All right, so Imap. Let's reread the question. Marcus would like for emails from his new web account to only be stored on his tablet. Okay, so Imap, I thought it said something else. Imap stores a copy of the email on the server. POP3 does not do that. All right, so it doesn't serve a copy of the email, or it doesn't save a copy of the email, excuse me. Which of the following client-side boot methods initiates the deployment of a new image? What do we think? So an image is like a copy. It's like a copy of the state of a computer. So my computer has certain files and folders and software and images and background, blah, 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 blah. If I created an image of that, I can actually take everything that's off my computer and upload it to another computer. All right. It's just the image is taking a snapshot of the state of your computer and trying to put that on another computer. And what can actually allow that to happen is something called PXE, which is an acronym, and it stands for, what the hell does PXE stand for? So that's one thing, gang. And IT will have, pre-execution environment, pre-boot execution environment. We have a lot of damn acronyms, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of all of them. Which of the following would a technician use to search for a specific string within a, I actually want to save this one. I'm going to save this one because we're going to get into this next time. So, gang, make sure that you like this video, you share, subscribe. I appreciate you for rocking out with me. Drop in the comments, let me know when you're taking the exam, if you pass the exam, or what's the next certification that you are getting. If you're looking for training, it's real simple. Shit been scrolling on the bottom of the screen for the last 45 minutes. Go over to itmastery.com, where the average student is getting their first certification in 30 days, and the average student in the Zero to Hero program is getting A+, Net Plus, Security Plus, ITF Plus too, but as far as the big ones, A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus in 90 to 120 days or 3 to 4 months. So this program has worked for thousands of other students. I don't see why you'd be any different. And I'll see you in class, man. I will see you.